Hey, what's up YouTube, and welcome to another great product spotlight video brought to you by Mount Baker Vapor. And today we got a special look at a brand new product that just hit our website from a company that you know and love, Vaporesso. What we've got here for you today is the Vaporesso Cascade Tank. One of the first of its kind, definitely has a unique design, and so far in my experience this has been nothing but fantastic to vape on. So let's go ahead and dive down and take a closer look at it, shall we? All right, and there she is, the Vaporesso Cascade Tank. We've got the blue version here. Comes in a nice acrylic case. Cascade Tank, it says, when passion meets innovation. And the one thing I do have to say about this tank is that it is actually very, very innovative. Very different design. Something that isn't too common these days. And you can see that nice bright blue finish. Got this solid delrin drip tip here. Now, it's not a true, it looks like an 810, but it's not really a true 810. This is more of a 510. So you could use a standard 510 drip tip on there if you wanted to. But it is nice and durable. It helps to dissipate any of the heat that you'd be getting. I haven't had any negative experiences with that. Nice solid 510 connection. The airflow is one of the things I really like on this. You actually kind of have to do a little adjustment here at the bottom when you put that on, because the airflow control ring can be kind of tight. We'll go ahead and take a look at that. So in the packaging you get the tank, you get a replacement glass, some replacement O-rings, an additional coil, which I think I might just have broke. That's all right. So there's two coils. There's a coil in there, and there's an adapter for the Baby Beast coils. You can use the TFV8 Baby Beast coils in here. So this is the coil right here that goes into the Cascade tank, and this one reads at 0.4 ohms, and it is rated at 40 to 80 watts. And this is just it looks like it's just a giant single parallel coil, actually. You can see the really large wicking ports here on the side of the coil. Really generous amount of airflow through there, but it's not too much. I vaped on this coil as well, and you still get a good draw out of it, and it still has decent flavor, although I do prefer the other coil that comes installed in it, because there is, in my opinion, much better flavor. And you can see the design of these coils is different. There aren't any threads on the bottom. These are EUC style coils, so it's a plug and pull design, which is really super easy to do. I mean, it makes changing coils out really, really easy. You can see this coil right here. This is a 0.15 coil, and I believe there are 8 coils in here. This is, I believe, a GT8 coil. You can see a lot of the cotton in there. So these are wicked up really well. Really large wicking ports as well. The housing feels good on these. And on the bottom you can see where the airflow is going to come through as well. Now this coil, the 0.15 ohm coil, is rated at 80 to 200 watts. And you can run this up to a true 200 watts. I've run it up to about 150 watts. And at 150 watts, you are going to get a fairly warm vape. So it's going to be on the higher end of warm, but it's not going to be too hot. A lot of times you see these coils advertised and they tell you to run them up to really high wattages, and when you get them up there, it's just too hot to enjoy. And that definitely hasn't been the case here. If you'll notice, this whole thing's going to come apart. So inside we've got a separate chamber. So you're going to plug your coil right into this chamber here. And they're calling this the isolation structure. So your coil really isn't going to sit in the juice. It's not going to sit inside of the tank, which is kind of nice because now you've got this whole tank to hold your e-liquid, and it just cascades down through these holes, which I'll show you a little better here. You can kind of see the 4 slots there. So you're going to hold 7 mils of juice in this guy. I mean, it's a good sized tank. It is a juice guzzler, but for the flavor you're getting out of it and the vapor production, you know, I gotta tell you, I really don't mind. And it seems like these come kind of tight. There we go. So yeah, that isolation chamber that the coil is gonna go into is gonna come off. And you can see where the chimney is. Coil is gonna sit right below all of this inside of that well. But you can see the 4 slots that let the juice cascade down, if you will. I'm assuming that's the namesake of this tank, is these 4 slots here. The cascading action that you're going to get from this tank, the juice flowing down onto the coil. And I haven't had any spitback or anything, so it's not over wicking. It's been a really enjoyable vape. So this guy comes off here. The glass section also comes completely off. The drip tip comes off. Now on the top here, you're gonna see this is a sliding top fill design. I'll show you better once we put it back together. You're gonna have the white arrow over here and you're just gonna slide it right open, and it's nice and clicky and firm. So I take some resistance to push it away. So you know this isn't just gonna open up in your pocket, or you know, you lay it down, it's not gonna pop open, which is really nice. Very, very large top fill port there. Your larger size nozzles should fit in there fairly easily. And then you can pop it back closed. And like I said, it is snug. And the rings that sit on top of there that make contact, that they seat it nice and firm in the closed position. Now, for whatever reason, I mean, this might come in handy, and you'll notice this when you're screwing this on and off. This cap here, if you rotate counterclockwise, will actually come off. So if for some reason you wanted to get this top blue metal piece off of the top cap, you can. You just rotate it counterclockwise and it comes right off. And I guess one of the reasons I really like this is because I love to take my tanks all the way apart. It makes me feel good to know that I'm getting like a nice clean vape every time. And you know, obviously you don't have to clean your tank all the time, but when you want to clean it, you can definitely get in there with some Q-tips or a Kleenex and change that coil and put some fresh juice in, and you're really going to maximize your flavor like that. And it just gives me peace of mind, to be quite honest. So you can see the isolation chamber screws right back on. It's as simple as plugging the coils in. Now this metal base is going to make contact with this flat metal ring down here in the airflow control ring. And the threads are really nice. And it just screws right on. And you don't even really have to wick this. I mean, obviously, you know, I do, because that's just kind of, I want to make sure I'm not getting any burnt hits. It's always nice to know that you're going to get the most out of your coil life, and I don't really feel like donating a coil. And we almost missed this adapter ring. And what it is it looks like a coil housing, and this ring screws off the top. And you are actually able to seat a Baby Beast coil inside of this adapter, screw this on, just like that. So it'll look just like one of the other coils, and then you can plug it right in here. You just pop that right in. And I haven't tried that out yet, just because I've been such a big fan of these coils that do come with the Cascade tanks. So let's go ahead and wick up our coils. We've got this 0.15 ohm coil with the 8 heads in there, and like I said, you can see the large wicking ports. Today we've got a little orange dream bar. Really great creamy orange creamsicle flavor from Mount Baker Vapor. If you haven't tried it, be sure to check that out. And like I said, you don't really necessarily have to wick this up by itself. You can see I got a little bit of leakage because the coil is so open. You might even be a little better off just adding a few drops to the side. The cotton they use in here also wicks very well, so you really don't need a whole lot of juice. And the break-in period on these coils, like I said, is almost non-existent. And throw a little bit of juice on there, and then we're gonna plug this guy back in. Like I said, it just pops right back in. And you put your airflow control ring back on. Super easy to do. Let's pop our drip tip back on. Sits nice and snug on top. So I think one of the things I like about this is that the larger delrin drip tip, it helps to dissipate the heat. So you're not putting your mouth on this thin little drip tip on top of a coil that's rated up to 200 watts. So it helps dissipate that heat, but the airflow, even wide open, isn't going to be overwhelming because of the 510 connection size at the base of the drip tip. That's just my opinion. Your experience may differ, but I've really been enjoying that, and some people that may be a con, but to me that is not. So let's go ahead and throw it on top of the Sigelei Spectrum box that we have here. That nice blue color sitting on top of the Spectrum. You can see we've got the LED lights lit up there, blue, so we get a little matchy look. And we're just gonna pop this open. The white arrow, you slide away from that. And like I said, the top fill port is fairly large, so these bottles just fit in there nice and easy. And it holds 7 mils of juice. So you can see it sitting on top of there, and it does have a unique design. We've got this bulbous area on the tank, which really isn't too wide. I mean, there is a slight difference in the measurements up here, but it really expands the tank size. And even on this mod, which is a smaller 2-battery mod, it really doesn't look too big or bulky. There's no overhang on there, which is nice because the base is still, I want to say, around 25 millimeters or less. And you get that great juice capacity still, so that's what she looks like sitting on top of the Spectrum mod with the matchy blue lights. Why don't we take it back up and vape on it and see how it does. All right, so we've got the Vaporesso Cascade tank sitting on top of our Sigelei Spectrum, set to 80 watts, which is the minimum wattage that you want to have the 0.15 coil set at. Airflow cranked about halfway open. You do have the 3 wide airflow slots there at the base, and there is some resistance there. This airflow control ring doesn't just spin freely. It's a one way, all the way closed, one way all the way open, and there is a fair amount of resistance, which is nice. I mean, it can be a little frustrating, but don't just make a little adjustment up top here. Don't unscrew it all the way, obviously, the isolation chamber from the airflow control ring, but if you crank it down too tight, you're really gonna have a hell of a time trying to get that airflow control ring to move. So it is right all the way closed, left all the way open. So like I said, 80 watts, halfway open. Let's go ahead and see what she vapes like. So at 80 watts, the flavor is good, and it's still a cool vape at 80 watts. The airflow control, you can hear how whooshy that airflow is, halfway open, which is not overwhelming. It's a little bit much for my taste. I want something a little more focused. But for those of you out there just looking to blow clouds or really are into that, you're really gonna love this. Halfway closed, I'm not really getting any whistling, which is nice. The triangular airflow design is really great. So I mean, this is where I prefer to be. It's just a quarter of the way open on each of the 3 slots. Let's give that a shot and see how it vapes. Good focused flavor, not too much airflow. You can kind of see that the coil is still wicking because I've only taken like 2 hits off of this and I'm already missing a little bit of juice in the tank. But no spit back, it doesn't get over wicked. I've never had this tank leak on me, which is great because in the past, at least in my experience, that is kind of almost a guarantee when you get into tanks and coils of this size. Let's open it all the way at 80 watts. And if you notice that even at a quarter of the way open, I'm not getting any whistling off there. So it is kind of a louder airflow, but you don't get an annoying whistle that you do on some devices, which is nice. And that's good flavor, but I'm pretty sure all the way open and just got a mouthful of juice at 80 watts. I mean, if that's your thing, I mean, it's not going to be your experience all the time, but all the way airflow wide open, in my opinion, is not the way to go. 80 watts is also not my preferred setting. If you want something on the lower end of the wattage, I'd say go with the 0.4 ohm coil. Like I said, still has good flavor. And you don't have to run it up high, but me personally, I'm going to 115 all day. That's what I'm going to do. It's just kind of where I live at on this tank, and it seems to work really well for me. And like I said, not hot at all, but a decent warm vape. Let's do that at halfway open. To me, that's right there. That's almost perfect. I am going to go to a quarter of the way closed, or open. Quarter of the way open, 115 watts. And that's perfect. That's just the right amount of vapor, the right amount of flavor, the perfect balance. And like I said, that's cool to warm. That's not on the high end of warm, that's on the low end of warm at 115 watts, which is great. Personally, I mean, this is probably my favorite tank out right now. I know that everyone else is gonna have their own favorite, and that's fine, but I am absolutely in love with this tank and I use this all day, every day. If you want something that's gonna put out a lot of vapor and just really focus on the flavor, this is where it's at. If you're a fan of the TFE8 or the Baby Beasts or any of that series, that's great. You know, those are really good tanks, but to me, this is the TFV8 killer right here. Smok's got other products coming out that are trying to compete with this, and I'm sure they're great too, but if I had to pick between the Smok tank, the Prince, and the Cascade tank, I go with the Cascade tank all day long. Vaporesso is a really good company. They put out really good quality of products. You know, and just for shits and giggles, we're gonna go ahead and crank it up all the way to 200 watts. Let's see what that's like. I haven't actually done that yet, so this will be my first time on video. So if I start hacking up a lung, just bear with me. I'm sure it'll be okay. We've got our camera crew on standby just in case something bad happens. And that's 200 watts, and here we go. $200 watts, and it still doesn't disappoint. That's on the high end of warm. Not hot. That is definitely tolerable. It's even enjoyable if you really want that nice, dense, warm vape. Like I said, high end of warm. But 200 watts is just gonna kill my batteries. So, like I said, 115 watts all day. Really been enjoying using this product, and I can't say enough good things about it. I mean, like I said, a few little cons, like the twisting of the cover on the ring there. There is a lot of airflow, but that's easily managed. The coils are great. You really got to check it out for yourself, and you can at mtbakervapor.com. Be sure to go to our site and pick one up. We've got them in blue, black, silver, and even the iridescent rainbow that everyone is so crazy about right now. Make sure to follow us on our social media channels. Check out future YouTube videos and more product spotlights from Mount Baker Vapor. And until next time,